football, by the hell.
Old Trafford, this is the theatre of dreams. Will you please welcome...
Hello and welcome to the Busby Way podcast. It's episode 10 and this one promises to be a big, fat, juicy one. It's episode 10 and it's the day after the derby. What did you guys think of that demolition of Man City yesterday? It was classic, it was frantic, it was vintage United. It gave everyone something to sing about. It's Carrick.
We're back, baby.
We're back. We're so
We're
back,
baby.
We never left. Joined with me as always is Bradley, as you've seen there. But before we get stuck into any of that, get your phone out, get your laptop out, get your tablet out. However you're watching or listening to us, give us a subscribe, give us a follow, give us a like and a comment. It really does help the algorithm. But let's get into it, Brad. Derby Day, what do we make of it?
It was absolutely class. I paused the game at home. I had to watch it from home yesterday, by the way. And when Man United were attacking, to show my son that this is how Manchester United be. This is all the crap we've heard about. Oh, Man United don't have a DNA. Man United don't have this. That is a Manchester United DNA. When there's 4 players streaming forward after winning the ball in our own half and attacking with gusto, power, and just class. That's Man United. That is the DNA.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent, that first goal, of when we scored against Arsenal in the Champions League, and that fantastic break with Ronaldo, Rooney, and everything. It brought back flashbacks. But what a great feel-good performance. United have absolutely been... It's been a tough watch last couple of months.
It's been hard.
Everything around the club has been difficult. I think the fans needed and deserved that yesterday.
We definitely needed it. I don't think... Look, nobody has the right to success, right? Fans don't have power over how the club performs. Yes, we can influence it by being, super positive, making sure the sound yesterday of that ground was incredible. Ultimately, that's the biggest impact that fans can have on a football team. And, for 90 minutes, all you could hear was the United fans. But they were buoyed by the play, what they saw. We passed the eye test yesterday. That was Manchester United's best performance in a derby that I can remember. It was better than the Solskjaer performances because we had control without the ball. I never felt under threat. The defence had it, the midfield had it, the attack was just, with purpose. It wasn't passive attacking, which we saw a lot under Amorim and Ten Hag. It was class.
It was absolutely great, and it was great to see the players all step up. I think the last derby we played in, we drubbed 3-0. Not a single player got a yellow card, and all I wanted was a bit of fight yesterday. I was like, I don't mind losing to second place as long as we give it a go, and we did more than that. We overreached. We put a bit of a fight in. City are a vulnerable team. They are great. For all their pros and stuff, you can get at them, and yesterday it proved when you're at it and you're battling at them, City aren't that great.
Well, anybody can beat anybody in this league, right? And City weren't that great. You were talking about the cards and stuff like that. Got a question for you and the listeners. Was it a red card for Dalot, in your opinion?
At first, I didn't think it was, but the more I watch it back in slow-mo and you see what happened, yes, it's a bit of a red. I think, though, I was saying to me, sort of, it's like, possibly was a red, but if you do that, does it ruin the game for a neutral? And is that even a valid point?
So
ruin the game?
My answer on this is clear. Does Dalot win the ball or not? Yes or no? He gets the ball first. None of the commentary, the replays, the pundits, Match of the Day, Roy Keane, Daniel Sturridge, Micah Richards, fucking Wayne Rooney, Alan Shearer, everyone talking about it. Nobody mentions the fact that Dalot touches the ball. He doesn't go in with excessive force. He gets the ball, the ball clearly moves, and then yes, there's coincidental contact. I think I slagged off a referee on here last week. I think he made a brave decision because, we know how much influence Manchester City have over the media and the narrative and probably the referees as well. And I think he made a brave call. I don't think it was a red card. I think it's a yellow because I think if you do catch someone on the knee, we've seen it that so far this season, decisions like that. I think it's a good decision for me.
Yeah, I think, like I said, there's pros and cons to the argument of why he could have been sent off, should have been sent off, might have got sent off. But at the end of the day, none of that matters. We absolutely backed City. And it's such a footnote on all the talking points of that game. You think about it, not only did we beat City and we dominated them, we had the ball, we were great in attack, we were great defending, we had the ball in the back of the net 3 times. Donnarumma probably saved their blushes by pulling off about 4 worldy saves. We hit the woodwork twice. It was a dominant performance. The question I've got is can United maintain that under Carrick?
I think the big question there is, okay, and this is the same question that all Manchester United teams over the last 5 years have had, right? Can we do it against quote-unquote lesser opposition, right?
We did yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. Our noisy neighbours. But that's a question that is yet to be answered, right? Because he's not played anyone else. We play City, we play Arsenal. Then the big acid test is the game after, because we know this Manchester United, these players are good enough, right? They can play in big games, but can they do it against your Bournemouths, your West Hams at home? All of those types of fixtures that we had in the last month. Can they do it? The thing that I'm positive about with this Carrick team is just what we saw in and out of possession. And I think that is transferable to those types of games because we set up without the ball in a 4-4-2. Shock horror, Mike Bassett, 4-4-2, right? Absolute class, right? But then it comes a 4-2-4 in attack. You've got Dorgu streaming forward, you've got Ahmad streaming forward, you've got Kobbie just in front of Casemiro. Casemiro, we've got to talk about him a bit later, but absolute class yesterday. But it was so good to see. And that's transferable if you're playing against a low block. Obviously, you stream forward. But we saw something that we've not seen for a while yesterday. We saw our overlapping wing-backs, overlapping full-backs, overlapping. Gary Neville must have been in his absolute element. I mean, he was. You could hear him in the studio. He was, the celebration for the goal. We've not really heard much positivity from Gary about Manchester United. Keano had a bit of a mare this week, I think, in terms of what he was saying about Carrick. But I think that there might be something going on there. But for me, the strangest comments were from Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt on Erling Haaland and Martinez, so the carrying Martinez around, which
it seemed like there was a lot of negativity around the club before it, and I think these players, and don't get me wrong, obviously caveat everything saying love players, love, but I feel like the week before Derby, you don't want to hear your legends going out and picking holes and like chipping people's confidence a bit. He did say that stuff about Martinez, and I always take exception to that because I always feel like he got so much stick for being short when he came in, and he stepped up.
He can't do anything about his height, can he?
He stepped up, and I think it was good. I don't know if you saw that clip of him after the match saying, "Forget the noise" to the fans. It's like, this is what it's about. Circle the wagons, and I think that's what we need, and that's the mentality we should have. And I get it. You've got to have your opinions in football. You've got to have them, but I feel like sometimes you're punching down a bit and you don't need to.
No, and they've got a job to do, right? So Scholes, Neville, everyone in the pundit world have got a job to do, and that's generate as many views as possible, right? And as multiple engagement. But look, what I loved about Martinez yesterday, he did his talking on the pitch. 100% duels won. 100% ground duels won. Aerial duels won. Like, that is talking with your performance, and that's all you really need to say. Against Erling Haaland as well, Maguire and Martinez yesterday were as dominant as I've seen in a derby, and they should take a lot of positivity from that. And
another highlight for me was that not talked about was Bernardo Silva trying to push Harry Maguire over.
Oh, he was having
if anyone was
it.
Getting picked up and thrown into the net, I think that was the example. He was absolutely going for him, and Haaland just kind of shrugged him off.
What I love about Maguire is he gets it, right? He gets the fans in that way, and he's gone through that circle of being ridiculed, mocked. He was a meme. He was really, like Keano was saying, he'd punch him and things like that. And obviously Keano's apologised, right? But he's gone through all that and he's come through the other end. And I think Harry Maguire is a Manchester United player, and I'd like to see him stay beyond the end of the season. What do you think?
I think players like that are needed in your dressing room. People who know the cause, get the club. Like, don't go out to their agents. Don't put out little piffy Instagram posts and dead petty stuff.
Yeah.
He had every right, I suppose, more than most players, more than Garnacho did,
Yeah.
to spit his dummy out and go, do you know what, I've had
100%.
enough. But he didn't. He handled himself well, and I think the fans, even the ones who are against him, even the ones who don't even rate him anymore, can still respect him for the way he's handled himself.
100%.
I think that's the key thing with him. I'm not going to admit there wasn't an eyebrow raised when Maguire was in the starting lineup, but I wasn't like, whoa, what we do? This is ludicrous. I was a bit like, oh, big call, that one.
Yeah,
and I'm glad it paid off.
It's a massive call because I mean, me and you have been waxing lyrical about Aiden Heaven, right? But before the derby, I was more worried about Martinez than I was about Maguire starting, and I think I was right to worry about Martinez because he's struggled a little bit since he's come back from his injury. He's had some good games and he's had some bad, but there is a player there, right? And when he is like he was yesterday, he's as good as anyone. You know, great on the ball, composed, aggressive. He wasn't having any problems with Erling Haaland, and how many defenders can come away and say we've seen Haaland put defenders on their arses, and yesterday there was absolutely none of that. They bossed the duels, and that was really, really key. And
I think part of it is obviously you see Casemiro, you see Mainoo in the centre part stopping them balls getting into Haaland as well. So Haaland hardly had a touch yesterday, and the only
14.
Yeah, 14 touches. Jesus Christ, that's insane.
More touches on the bench, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, that is a skill in itself, keeping them quiet, keeping them out. And to be honest, apart from a little bit where Lemens threw the ball out for a corner just so we had something to do, I don't think they really did anything to trouble us. I think the only worry was in the first half, whenever they had it around the box, the City are capable of doing something, but we just look comfortable. Well,
we're accused sometimes, aren't we, of the stats lying with Manchester United and they're not passing the eye test and all of that jazz. But that was Manchester City's biggest ever XG defeat yesterday.
That's insane.
And they had a 0.4 XG in the whole game, which majority of that would have come from Haaland's block shot with Martinez and that corner scramble where obviously Lemens has kind of wanted to keep himself busy. But other than him catching crosses yesterday, I found it hard to give him a massively high rating because he didn't have to do much. And that's what I want from my goalkeeper, right? That means that the defence, the midfield and the attack have done their fucking job, which is what we've not heard for a long time with Manchester United in a derby performance. It was as clinical a performance as we could see, and I think we should go through the player ratings just to give them some flowers, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll let you take the lead with the old player ratings.
So let's start with Lamens. What did you like? We'll do the traditional, not like Finalysis. We'll do 1 to 10.
Well, I feel like probably, if I'm being honest, just a 6. He had nothing to do. I think everything he did was great. I don't think he had a bad game. And the fact he's getting a low rate is just because he didn't do anything, because he didn't have to.
I think I have to go for an 8. I think when you keep a clean sheet in a derby, I think that just elevates it. I get what you're saying.
I think I'm doing that just to basically paint a picture and make a point. Obviously, he was good yesterday, but it's like he was solid. He didn't do anything wrong, but it's just like didn't have to do anything either.
I just want to caveat my scores. The lowest I'm going to give is an 8.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think everyone else is like in the 9s and 10s because that was as good as it gets. A man that we've criticised quite a bit on the pod. Giving him feedback,
constructive
feedback. Yeah, we want him to improve, and I'm the type of fan that I want everybody to do well. Yeah. I don't have any agendas against any player at the club, and I've said that we've kept him for too long. There's certain elements of his game that I don't like, but Diogo Dalot, rate him.
I thought he had a great game yesterday. I'd probably say give him probably. Are we just doing solid numbers, you said? Yeah?
Solid numbers.
Solid numbers. I'm going solid and a half, then 7.5 yesterday.
Solid and a half.
Solid and a half. So, I think he was pretty... everyone to a man yesterday was pretty good. In fact, the more I'm talking about it and giving him an 8, I thought he was great yesterday.
I have to agree with you. So, he makes 2 misplaced passes in the whole game. He does a great tackle on Dorgu. Just for the shits and giggles. Great tackle on Dorgu. I thought he attacked with purpose yesterday. I think there was no the ball wasn't going back, and he took a long throw. You know, it was, and he took a long throw. You know, it was which was nice to see. I think the return of the hammering long throw there.
Sam Allardyce was somewhere loving it in a working man's club, going, "That's my boy." But I thought, no, in fact. Yeah, go 7.5 actually, because I'm thinking.
Stick to your guns.
Yeah, I'm sticking to your guns, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you for why. There was one moment in the match yesterday. Well, for fuck's sake, and it was the only time I did it. And throughout this season, I've done that consistently on a 4-minute rotation. But there was one bit where we were breaking. It was 0-0. Player into Ahmad.
Yeah.
And it just went forever. So just for that 1 minute, little brief. 7.5.
Yeah,
I'm a very, very respectable 7.5.
I'm sticking with my 8 because that happened early on in the game.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, there were a couple of occasions where he got the pass right. So I always like to think that if you make an improvement in a game, you can improve your score. So I'm not going to knock him down for that. Right, cool. I'm going for an 8.
Absolute good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop. Now let's Harry Maguire, Harry McGravy, Harry
McGravy. 8.5. I felt like everything he did yesterday, he disrupted any breaks. He made tackles. He was there when he needed to be. No one could get past him. Even that big scrappy one where he took some studs to the thigh, he came in like a wrecking ball. It wasn't the most graceful thing to watch.
No,
but my God, he gets results. But no, that he was just solid yesterday, and it was a great little partnership with Martinez, I thought.
Yeah, I have to disagree. I'm going for a 9.5 on Harry Maguire. I think it was as vintage a defensive performance as you can see. He wins everything in the air. His ground game yesterday was phenomenal. So his one-touch passing, which we've not seen a lot from, he's driving forward with the ball and breaking the press, which was excellent. And what I did like about Harry yesterday is it wasn't. Sometimes he ponders on the ball just a little bit. There was none of that yesterday. Everything was with a purpose and everything was accurate. There wasn't anything overhit, underhit. It was perfect. So 9.5. The only reason why I'm knocking him down a 0.5 is because that header he should have scored. Under the crossbar, he knows it, and you could tell he was just as fucked off as Casemiro was when he did his. But yeah, like everything else was perfect. He would have been a 10. Yeah. So sorry, Harry.
Oh, fair. I feel bad giving him 8.5 now.
You should feel bad, James. You should feel bad.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'm a tough man to please. A 10 is a tough thing to get. 9 is a very tough thing to get. So I think that's 8.5 is very solid.
I've been at that ground where we've lost 6-1, so I cannot be less than cock a hoot today. Let me tell you that. Now, Lisandro Martinez, go.
Lisandro Martinez again. Another. Oh God, because I don't want to give him 9.
I don't feel like I'm bullying you.
Yeah, a little bit, because I feel like I've got to give 9s.
Give me a Dinnerman.
No, yeah. I think another solid 8.5 performance yesterday, crouching on a 9. If it's for analysis, I'd probably go 87, 89 on it. Okay. But I think he marshalled that defence. He was talking, he was getting involved. His positioning was great. He was organising things. He was making sure we were solid. And when you've got everyone around you doing that as well, like it just shows for a good defence.
Yeah, and I agree with all your points, but I'm going to give him a 9.5. Yeah, I'm giving him a 9.5. Yeah. You know, other than him ripping one into the top corner from 30 yards, which would have made him a 10. That was his best performance in a Manchester United shirt. Yeah. You know, he's had some harrowing derby days. Let's face it. He was there. I think it was 6-2 or 6-3 where we lost.
His first derby,
first derby, you know, under Ten Hag when he was thrown in there. And, you know, the character of the man he's recovered from that, and he's recovered from big injuries. And that performance yesterday, the stats don't lie. His performance against Haaland was as vintage as you can ask for. Yeah. So let's go to our man at the back. Luke Shaw, who's been Mr. Consistent this season.
I felt he was consistent again, more the same. Everything around him was good. I think I'll go another 8.5. I think that's pretty. My 8.5 is your 9.5 by the sound. But yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he kind of defended well. He got forward when needed to. He was overlapping a lot, which was good to see. Yep. And it seemed like there's life in the old dog yet. I think
he's only 30, isn't he?
He's only 30, but yeah, that's geriatric in football.
I know, that's criminal.
I know, exactly. But I felt like, you know, he was absolutely solid again going forward, but he was making these runs forward, And like you said, he had a purpose. I think in recent months when he's gone forward, he's got to like about the 20 yards. What am I doing? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it felt like he got there. It's like, right, when I get here, I'm going to do this. And he had his plan in place, and everything was working well around him. So yeah, he was another solid 8.5 there.
Solid 8.5. I think for me, I go Luke Shaw a 9.
Yeah.
You know, what I liked about Luke is his running off the ball. His also the fullbacks yesterday were so dominant because they were getting out to City very quickly, and that's something that we've missed. Even in the Fletcher games, the fullbacks weren't going out quick. You know, we saw with the goals against Burnley that was the real issue. However, yesterday that wasn't the case. The fullbacks were really out quick. Shaw was dominant in the air as well. There was a few times where he got above the attackers.
There was a great bit in the first half actually where the ball got played through and he blindsided Foden, and he was there on the scene. Yeah. Very aware, very astute.
Recovery second man tackles were up there. The Brighton game compared to that, it's night and day. You know, that's what we were missing in Brighton game, and that for Michael Carrick to have delivered that to those players in 3 days worth of training is against a manager like Pep is incredible. So it just goes to show when hard work works, you know. 9 for Luke. What are we saying for Ahmad?
Ahmad, I think I go 9 for Ahmad yesterday. I thought he was attacky. My bar's a lot lower than his.
Robbed, wasn't he?
Yeah,
robbed of his goal.
He was robbed of his goal. I thought Donnarumma pulled off some great saves yesterday.
Yeah.
He stopped Ahmad. There was once where he could get nowhere near it and he hit the post, and I thought he deserved a goal. And it's just a breath of fresh air having him back from the AFCON. I think when he went, I was like, we can cope without Mbemo. We've got enough players there. We can cope without Mazraoui. But I thought Ahmad was the one that hole needed to be plugged, and we had nothing there, and it just shows how much he levels up.
Praise be the rigging of the AFCON. I don't know if you've been following the stuff. I don't know if you've been following the AFCON, but there are lots of talks about rigged.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, lots of talks about people being robbed, robbed and stuff like that.
Yeah, Mazraoui's still there. They've got to the final. So
home nation to the final. What are the chances? Yeah, Ahmad for me, I would say a 9, a solid 9. I think he gave us things that we didn't have pre him being there, and he just that line of 4 players going forward, bombing. And what I love about Ahmad is the work that he does off the ball. He leads that press. You know, before we had Bruno just leading the press, it was almost like a one-man band, and Bruno almost looked like an outlier to the team. Like, that's not something he should be doing. But Ahmad charges forward, and you know, he just gets you off your feet. And was incredible. Let's go and talk about Casemiro. What we giving Casa?
Rolled back the ears, I thought, yesterday. I thought he controlled midfield very well. He got forward quite well. He was so unlucky with that chance. Donnarumma did what I used to go. He's just like, if I don't know where it's going, I'll just make myself big. And the thing
it's great goalkeeping.
Yeah, Donnarumma, he has a bigger frame than me. He's an absolute unit, and it felt so bad. And I'll be honest, when Casemiro missed that chance, there was a little bit of me going, are we just going to huff and puff all day and not be able to score?
And not blow the house down, right?
Exactly, but we did in the end. But yeah, he was brilliant. I think I go another 8.5 there for
8.5. I'm going for a big fat 9.5. I think he rolled back the years. He was given man of the match, wasn't he? Barkley's man of the match. Or whatever, Premier League man of the match, whatever we call it these days. I saw him with a little stick. Anyway, they don't give him a bottle of champers anymore for reasons unknown. But yeah, he was brilliant yesterday. His passing was fluid. He misses the chance that would have made him a 10 for me. He could have cut it across to Dorgu as well. But it was a lovely vintage performance. On to the man. Kobbie.
The Mainoo man.
Yeah, the man that's been freed. Yeah. Freed Kobbie. Yeah. What are we saying about good old Kobbie beef?
I thought he was incredible, and thank God he could start a game. I thought 9.5, I think for me, he was one of the better players. He broke up everything City did. Now, bear in mind, we've got a Ballon d'Or winner centre mid on that pitch there. I think if you had to pick who was it on the eye test yesterday, you're picking Mainoo. If you had to work out who it was, I thought he was class. He showed maturity yesterday, and he showed that he was actually fighting. I felt in recent weeks, like he wasn't fighting for the cause, and I feel like you said, he's been maybe freed or liberated. Maybe we're reading too much into that, but I just felt like it was the Kobbie that we've always wanted to see, and the Kobbie that we knew was there. He broke up so much play. He was incredible, and he was helping progressing the ball forward. He was basically ticking all the boxes and keeping us moving.
He did tick all the boxes for me, and I gave him a 9.5. I think it was as good as a midfield performance as I've seen against Rodri. I think. When we were talking before the pod, I was excited to talk about a couple of things with him. You know, it was his composure on the ball, which we know he's got in abundance, right? You know, the little ball rolls, all of those things. But actually, his movement off the ball and his tracking back. And if you noticed, any time a Manchester United midfielder that wasn't him had the ball or a winger, he was always getting close. He was always trying to be with the ball so he could move it and progress it. And he lasted the whole game. He was perfect yesterday. You know, absolutely perfect. So well done, Kobbie. Long may that continue. Let's hope for more performances like that, because that's what you can do. And if you carry on playing like that, you're in the World Cup squad. You're starting, and you're starring. You know, he's as good as it can get, and it makes us think. Do we need to go in the transfer market this window? I think, look, we're not going to go and get Belieber. We're not going to go and get Wharton. We're not going to go and get Anderson in this window. It's clear. We would have done that already. But we do need a midfielder to replace Casemiro. I don't think he extends his contract. Yes or no with that. But I think... You know, we're only looking at loans. I think we probably were sniffing around Conor Gallagher, but West Ham.
How's that worked out for him?
Not great. Yeah. But yeah, let's move on to Brian Mbeumo.
I felt like, to be honest, I won't go as far as say weak link, because I don't think he was. I thought he was good.
Scores
no,
opener.
No, hear me out. I won't go as far as say the weak link, but I was like, everyone was so good yesterday.
Yeah.
Right, in that respect. So I think he was one of the ones who flew a little bit more under the radar. It said, wait. However, his positioning, his running for that goal was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, we got to remember Donnarumma pulled off that worldy save again to stop him. The first half, he was unlucky not to get that chance that Bruno squared to him.
Yeah.
He was good. I think probably going 8.5. I think he was probably one of the players who flew a little bit under the radar compared to other people. And by saying under the radar, I just meant we got a better look at some players like your Mainoo yesterday, Harry Maguire, who really stepped up and wasn't expecting much of. Great game yesterday, 8.5. And it's a shame, though, to be fair, because I think he deserved more goals out of the game. He was so good.
He definitely did deserve a bit more out of the game. I think that's probably his best performance in the United shirt for me. And there's a few reasons why I think that, and it goes down to his control of the ball. I think, yes, he could probably take a couple more chances, and I think that one that Donnarumma made some good saves against him. I think he rightfully lets the ball go to Dorgu when Bruno did that nice switch of play. But if he's on his toe, if he's moving towards the ball for the one that Kushinov takes away from him, he's got himself a goal there. What I loved about the performance, though, was he seemed to get better as the game went on. You know, the goal where he scores on 65, that is, you know, where you're thinking he might be getting hooked. You know, but he just improved, and for me, the finish is class. He ran his legs off. He was a Manchester United player, 9.5.
Yeah. He was cutting a frustrated figure in the first half, because I think things weren't just quite landing to him I would have wanted, and I thought maybe there's a bit of tired legs from AFCON and travelling and stuff, but absolutely just stepped up and, like you said, just went up the gears throughout the game.
Yeah, and that's the sign of a United player, right? Patrick Dorgu.
I love this kid. I've always said that he's going to be one of our better players this season. He's yet to kind of step up to that mark, but yesterday I thought he was incredible again. I thought putting him on balance with Ahmad at the side, I think that's what he was brought into the club to do.
Yep.
So we've got some nice balance on either side where they're both working in tandem with each other. He was brilliant, and I thought what I really liked about him yesterday was not only was he getting down the wing, crossing it in and doing that, his pressing at up top was incredible.
His pressing was great.
He didn't stop running, and I thought he was as good a performance as anyone in that position could put in. I thought he was brilliant, and I'm just hoping, he is a young lad, he's 21, there is going to be more development to him, so I'm just hoping he gets more performances out like that, because he's more than capable of it.
Yeah, and I think there's always a thing with United, isn't there, where you're liked by fans, you become loved when you score a goal in the derby, right? A goal against City, a goal against Liverpool, a winner. You know, he's got that goal against Newcastle where none of us really saw that coming, let's face it. And then he seems to find himself in the right positions now. And I think his movement off the ball yesterday was what we want to see. You know, even in the last minute of the game, he's flying forward.
He just shows desire to get to first to everything, and that is something that fundamentally this club has not been doing recently. Just getting first to the ball and just like not letting the ball just pass you by. And he got his reward for that yesterday with a goal. He was probably 6 yards behind. Was it Rico Lewis? Or Riley, whoever it was. And he just had to get across him.
He wanted it.
He wanted it more. And I think basically you can sum that goal sums up the performance yesterday. United wanted it more.
Yeah,
that was it.
And he wanted it more. I'm giving him a 9.5. What did you give him?
I give him a 9.
You give him a 9. Correct, great. Let's move on to Bruno Fernandes.
Mate,
I've saved the best to last. Of the starting.
Yeah, listen, right. So Bruno gets so much more stick from outside of the club. Fans who say he should have sold into Saudi, he's not as good as everyone makes out, he just plays in a crap team, he won't get into Fergie's team. All the noise. Just look at the performances he puts in. And do you know, his performances get so much more elevated when everyone else around him is doing their part. And he talking about cutting a frustrated figure before, when we were talking about Mbemo, Bruno has looked like that. He's carried the burden of carrying Man United on his back for too long. And when players around him are clicking and they're actually putting the effort in, it just shows how much class he has got. Yeah. And this kind of movement yesterday, I think he gets a solid 9.5 off me again. And I just think he kind of ran the show. Anything good and creative that we do goes for him, and it's not supernatural that's happening. It's because he is a world class player. Yeah. And I was getting into it with a City player, a City fan on Friday, and they went, I'd put Bruno in our team as a courtesy, and it's like, get off your high horse. Bruno is one of the best players in the world, and seeing him in that kind of more forward role yesterday is something we've not seen in a while, and it was good to see. Yeah,
so I've got a bit more on Bruno, and I'll start off with giving him a 10, right? And I'm going to ask the question, not necessarily to you, but like to the audience: does he get sold in the summer?
Yeah, well, I think if you're asking me, thank you for asking. Is no, absolutely not. I'll be honest. When Amarim went, I was like, "Where's the club going?" He's gone. I was like, I don't want him to go, but I was like, he's gone. I think we have more games like that, more performances like that, more belief like that. He's staying around. Yeah. He's staying around. I think for me, I genuinely thought, like, probably early last week after the Burnley game, I was like, wouldn't blame him if he did a Harry Kane, went to Bayern Munich, won a few trophies, and just ended out his career, sailed off in the sunset. I know, and
with that, I'm in agreement there. Like, it really does depend on how the season finishes. But back to his performance yesterday and why I'm giving him a 10. He was everywhere, just like he should. He led the press. He was communicative in the right way. So when Mbeumo was kind of having his moment, you know, he kept the positive vibe. He wasn't necessarily putting him down. Like we can see, he can throw his arms up, and he admits that, right? He's a passionate guy. But I think he controlled his passion really, really well yesterday. His passing was world class. Yeah. His movement was world class. He takes his goal very well. No. But obviously his goal gets taken away from him. Very late flag, by the way. Extremely. That kind of, you know, that to have 3 goals given offside in one game and it be stripped away with VAR. We will talk about. We've got a talking point of the last goal because
that was scandalous.
That's criminal. But yesterday Bruno was everything, and Bruno has carried Manchester United on his back for a long, long time, and now the shackles are coming off. He's back in the number 10 position, and long may that continue. Captain Marvel, 10 out of 10. Can't drop his points yesterday. So I think we need to talk about the subs a little bit, but I'm only going to mention one sub because he had the longest time on the pitch. Matthias Cunha.
Cunha, yeah, I thought it was good last night. I thought he did okay. He got into the game. I thought when we were bringing him on, it was like, right, we're trying to keep the ball a little bit more.
Yep.
And he's very erratic. He's very ratty in his approach. He gets stuck into everyone. He's like, right, he's gonna get a bit stuck in, and he did that. He kind of got the ball back. I thought he could have been probably a bit stronger. He's been a bit off the boil in recent weeks.
He got an assist though, didn't he?
He did, and I thought he was going to be a little bit more hold the ball up, keep the ball as much as possible. And he didn't do that too much, but what he did do was just fucking go at him.
He did,
and
didn't
he went for the jugular. And I felt like when he came on, was the performance he gave what I was expecting? No, I was expecting him to be ratty, keep the ball, try and protect us a little bit more. And he was like, nah, fuck him, we'll do it.
Yeah,
and I love that. I love that attitude. And I think maybe the fact that I was thinking that is systematic to the way we United have played in the last couple of years, where we're making subs to kind of protect ourselves. Yeah. Maybe this is the dawn of a new thing where we actually bring subs on to win games.
What you mean, actual in-game management that doesn't then strengthen the opposition?
Yeah.
That was why I gave Michael Carrick a 10 out of 10 yesterday. Because it was substitutions with purpose. Every player went onto that pitch with the same message, right? Let's keep going. Yeah. There wasn't a time in the game where we go, right, okay, shut up shop now. City were there for the taking. City were there for the taking in the first minute and the last minute. Yeah. And we, Mason Mount gets a goal, gets it chalked off, but Cunha's there crossing for the second, and that was all Cunha. And that, for me, as perfect today, as perfect a derby day as possible, because I'm not going to talk about the Westwich Falcons. I've decided because it's going wider than that. But derby day was great.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think I honestly got laughed at for flagging that I thought we could win, and I put my prediction out that we'd win. Got laughed at literally on this podcast by the guys making it, literally laughing in the background as I said it. The token scouser who works on it was laughing, but on Sky was. But I genuinely thought there's enough new manager bounce to get us in there, and I think credit to Carrick. What I thought we'd see during the week, he's only had 3 days on grass with the club. I thought with Carrick, what we were going to see was vibes. It was going to be get the momentum going, reminding players who were Man United, get us actually believing in ourselves a little bit. And I thought formation and structure probably will come a bit later, but it was implemented and executed perfectly, and that blew my mind, because I thought we were just going to be winning off vibes alone and just like fighting.
Yeah, I think, you have to question why the change wasn't made sooner with him. Why we couldn't get him in 2 weeks ago. It was, we didn't really, we've seen an immediate impact, and we saw an immediate impact in how the team wanted to play. We saw, Harry Maguire and Martinez and Kobbie Mainoo playing tiki-taka football. Yeah. What was this?
Total football. Football.
Just
like watching Brazil.
The Olays were going round. It was incredible.
It's interesting with Carrick, the lineup he went as well. He showed that he was brave enough to make big decisions. Like I said, there were eyebrows raised. A lot of things like Sesko's in form. He got dropped. Rotated, I like to say, rather than dropped. Then obviously Harry Maguire comes in, Martinez comes in. There was a big calls to make, and he stood up and made them, and that's so important as a United manager to do the things that are right. And I thought that was brilliant to see.
Yeah, and I think you called it right. You said ahead of the derby, you said on Sky Sports that you think Sesko won't play. You said on this podcast you didn't think Sesko would play. I thought it was a brave call. I expected Mount to play if Sesko didn't play. And what I liked was actually there was still enough there to attack fluidly. I think that kind of gives me hope for the future. And looking ahead to Arsenal, I think it gives me a lot of excitement.
Yeah, and I am excited, and I do want to bring it down to reality a little bit, because obviously you can't be on cloud nine all week. Too fucking right, we can. We won the fucking derby. Right. We won the derby, boys. Come on. We battered them in the derby.
We battered them.
It wasn't even a match. But the thing is how much do you put down to this being new manager bounce, and how sustainable are them kind of performances? Are you expected to see the same? None
of it. Don't burst my bubble.
All right. Get off my cloud.
Yeah, get off my cloud. He's the next coming of Jesus.
Exactly. I saw him walking on water across the airway.
That's it. Exactly.
On the way home.
I was playing with grok images for that. You know what I mean? Not that type of playing, boys, but we've all seen. But one of the image for the day for me was Erling Haaland on the bench. Yeah, like that was it was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was, and I think with this game, this win against City, quietens a lot of noise, asks a lot of questions about Amarin and the regime and stuff. Wilcox and everyone will be happy because the monkey's off their back there. But I think going forward to the Arsenal game, the vibes are there. The belief is coming back, and I think if you think about it at the start of the season when we got beat by Arsenal 1-0, which we should never got beaten, right, we battered him. Surely that gives these players so much confidence going into that game. That we're going in against Arsenal knowing that we were only narrowly beaten last time, and we're coming off the back of beating their biggest rivals at the moment convincingly. Do you think Arsenal have got stuff to be worried about?
I think Arsenal have got to be worried after seeing their performance against Nottingham Forest yesterday. I think you would be, I wouldn't say worried as an Arsenal fan, because Arsenal have shown this season they've got many ways to win a game of football, but all of them involve being shithouses and, throwing the ball out for 20 minutes and boring the opposition to death. I think as long as we can create some noise in that stadium and it's the away fans like usual, we should be absolutely fine. Arsenal have got a couple of injuries. They've got, similar to City, like, we need to be honest about City. City had injuries at the back yesterday, but when you drop $1 billion in transfers over, a 12-month period, what the fuck do you expect, right? They've signed Mark Gahey as well. What a joke that is, you know what I mean? We didn't have a defence for that game. Well, let's just get England's best defender at the moment, right? And make Oliver Glasner cry. And probably that's the thing. I think for the Arsenal game, I don't know what you think, but I think he'll probably change it again, because I don't think you can go with the exact same team. What do you think?
No, I think as well with Carrick, he's getting in players in. He needs them to buy into what he's doing, and I think it doesn't mean just because Sesko doesn't start, he's not going to get a game. He knows how important it is for squad rotation. He played underneath a manager who excelled in squad rotation to get players in. I think there will be tweaks to that formation. I don't think there'll be wholesale changes, but I think there'll be one or two. And a lot of the players who kind of maybe not so much Aiden Heaven, but maybe Seskos and Mounts and stuff going, listen, didn't use you for the Derby game, but we're going to use you for the Arsenal one because we need more pressing. Or Sesko is like, we need more aerial balls in because defensively they're quite solid. And I think he'll play to the strengths, and he'll probably, and I'd like to think he's taken a page out of Fergie's book and said to Sesko, I'm not playing you for this because I need you for this. And I think that's man management. And I think, bear in mind, he's played under some of the biggest managers, English managers in Premier League, what have you. Not just Fergie, he's played under some solid managers. Maybe he's taking a leaf out of that book, and I do expect to see some changes.
You'd hope, wouldn't you? And I think the exciting thing about Carrick is, like, he didn't. You're right. He didn't just play under Sir Alex Ferguson. He played under Van Gaal. He played under Jose. He was on Jose's coaching staff. He then managed the club briefly. He worked under Ollie. So there's a lot of longevity there, and there's a lot of seeing what goes well and what doesn't go well, and he's kind of he knows what this group is like as well, which is good. He's kind of been in and around the club, not in the same building as Amarin over the last few months. He's obviously his son's at United. If we see Carrick popping up, 14-year-old Michael Carrick starting, Michael Carrick Jr. or whatever his name is, it's going to be a sight to see. But I don't know. I think you can't really go with the same. I don't think you can go with that same team against Arsenal. I think you have to be a bit taller, and I think you have to have a little bit of an option. So I think Sesko comes back in. Whether that means slight tweaks, I don't know, but let's see. And let's hope everyone came through the game unscathed.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that's clear is the belief is there again. I think we sat here last week, I was like, I reckon 4 points from these two games. And I think you almost did a backflip when that happened. But I rallied. I thought, and I'm not like getting high on my horse.
I think we both said that's what we needed.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we're partway to it. If we can get a draw out of Arsenal and City, because let's have it right, at the start of the season, I said City, Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea are all free hits. If we don't win them games, like we're not expected to.
No.
Obviously, you want to win them, and we've got the ability to win them. But if we lose them, that's not what's going to get us up the table or lose us Champions League. But I feel now like there's the opportunities there to beat them, and I think it sets the tone for the rest of the season. And hopefully, get a decent result against Arsenal. The vibes are there. Other teams are dropping players. Maybe we push for that top 4.
I think so. Do you think we need to go into the market for the top 4?
I don't necessarily do, and I think there's enough talent in that squad to get us into a top 4. It's just about getting us playing there, and also as well, there is an element of other teams need to drop points, other teams need to do stuff. I think, like you said, we've been saying since the start of the season, or we've been saying for years, it seems, a centre mid needs to come in, but I don't think we're going to get the player that we want in January. Yeah, I think that's something that's going to happen in the summer, whereas Casemiro goes out and a new striker, a new centre mid comes in. Yeah, I think that's going to be the summer. Do we jump the gun and try and get someone in just as a stopgap? I don't think that's the way to go.
Yeah, it depends who the stopgap is. You know, I wanna clear it up that, you know, Ruben Loftus-Cheek is the name that's being mentioned, right? Would you take Ruben Loftus-Cheek?
I think I'd take him in the squad, definitely. I don't think he changes anything, but I think having that little bit of extra quality in the squad does help. But I wouldn't be going, right, we've got Loftus-Cheek in, right, we've definitely got Champions League. Yeah. Like, that wouldn't make me go, fucking hell, there we go. Hit the big leagues.
Hit the big leagues, yeah, Ruben.
I'd just be like, he's an alright player on his day, he's good, get him in the squad, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not doing backflips.
No, I'm not doing backflips either. I mean, I think if he's been identified as someone who can make a difference, then I'm excited. But I think it's not dependent. For the first time in a while, I don't think it's necessarily too dependent on signings. You know, the change of formation really does make, because we didn't have enough players to play Amarin's formation, right? Now that question isn't there. You can almost say to yourself, right, what do we need then? So actually, we've got a good squad for a 4-3-3. You know,
well, this is what I said yesterday. Yeah. I literally said, like, we have got options off the bench. Yeah. And we know we've not had them because of injuries and AFCON and all that kind of thing, carry on. But we also haven't, playing Amarin's system, we didn't have the options there. We were light on the players we needed. We're playing in this system, we've now got backups and stuff. So maybe the reshuffle of the pack. And I think that's part of the reason why Carrick got the job over Ollie. It was like, coach the players we've got. Yeah, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah. Whereas Ollie would have been like, yeah, we'll get this in, maybe we'll get this in, and we'll put them inside. Carrick is more of a coach than Ollie is.
I think the reason why Ollie didn't get the job over Michael Carrick, I think you're right. He's not a coach, right? And I think that what the club needed was a coach, and whether the backroom staff of what I need to say is the backroom staff, first of all, it's caused little problems in Leeds. You know, obviously the Jonathan Woodgate thing, he's been cast out by the main road massive, the Ellen Road Massive.
It breaks your heart to see
them really upset. And I think it's interesting. An interesting coaching. I think the ex Steve Haaland is a very, very wise appointment. I think as much as we don't want the smell of Southgate knocking around, you know what I mean? We'll leave that out. Yeah. I think he's a very interesting appointment. And I think we won't know until the end of the season, so we can't judge it based on one game or the impact on one game. We've won the derby. We might go and lose next week and, you know, be back at square one. But I'm not going into that game thinking we will. I'm going into the game thinking, actually, our squad looks stronger now. If we were to go out there, I wouldn't want us to go get a stopgap. Yeah. I'd want us to go, right, okay, let's get one of our summer signings now. Let's press the button on one of them.
That's what I mean, man. I think the reality of getting a summer signing, I mean, in January is very unlikely. That's why I'm like, we'd probably wait till summer. Yeah. If it was the summer signings are available and we can get them and we can get a decent price, then yeah, absolutely bite your hand off. But these stopgap players, maybe not as necessary as we thought it might be.
So just moving on then to a bit of the media pressure that is going to come, right? So the media pressure has already started. You know, Carrick's at the wheel. We're excited. Are we saying, you know, if, say, for example, 5 results, if the guy cuts his hair, you know, the United Strand loses his locks, are we giving him a contract or what are we doing?
But this is the thing, I think this is the question that's going to be asked, and you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if we get us into Champions League, and that's great, and then next season we have a little bit of a fall off, which probably there might be a conversation that might happen, then it looks very foolhardy going off the board saying, well, we had a plan and then we deviated and pivoted on it like we did with Ollie and it didn't work out. I just don't see how, if we play like that consistently, how you could turn around and go, do you know what, we're going to try Glasner.
Yeah,
I think that, and the thing is, I think, will the board keep Carrick to save face, say, no, we had a plan, and this is the plan, it's very structured, you're here till that time, we're very clear on it, and then we're going our own direction. But if we play like that, and we do that,
it's such... So, for me, football is like... Last season, football wasn't a results game for Manchester United, because if it was a results game, you would have sacked Amarin. You would have sacked him midway through his 12 weeks in. He would have been sacked. Yeah. Fact. If Michael Carrick performs to the standard and gets us into the top 4, I think he's got to be knocking on the door. I'm going to put it to... I don't think top 4 is necessarily the aim. I'm not saying we're going for a title, but we've got to be looking at Liverpool. We've got to be looking at Villa. We've got to be looking above. We've got to be looking at City.
And I think as well, you've got to remember that as much as football is a business, as well, they say, it is a living, breathing entity. It evolves, it develops over time. Yeah. Nothing is as fickle as a football fan. What we said one week is different to the next week, and that is because it is evolving and ever changing. Yeah. So even though we have got a plan in place to keep him as interim to the end of the season, if things develop and they change in a way that means it's irresistible to have him, then you can't say don't do it. Do you know what I mean?
You can't say don't do it, and you have to say that it would be foolhardy if they looked at that and go, right, we now want to upset the apple cart of players who don't really respond well to change. Yeah. So I think if Bruno's looking at that at the end of the season going, right, Carrick's got to be into the top 4, we've got a really good group, a good vibe on it, I think the goal of the club should be to keep Bruno Fernandes next season. Yeah. So whatever Bruno needs, let's kind of cater to that. Yeah. If that means that we've got Champions League football and we need to invest heavily in the best defensive midfielder that we need to go for, then that's the plan. I think the head coach role, I think it's Carrick's to lose, until the end of the season, and then let's go from there. Yeah,
that's it. But I think we'll start wrapping up a bit now, I think. But yeah, it is Carrick's to lose. He did a great display yesterday, his curtain opener, and I think he's got everything for United buzzing. Everyone's excited, everyone's on the feet, and we're excited to see that. We're actually excited going into the next game against Arsenal.
We are excited going into the next game against Arsenal, and we're also excited for the guests we've got coming up, right? Yeah. We've got the guests coming up, and we are going to announce it on our social media. Stay tuned for that, but it shouldn't be too much of a surprise.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right then. Well, on that note,
let's have some love. Let's show some love.
Just to recap, Man United are great, Carrick's a legend, and Manchester is red. We'll see you on the next pod.
It's fucking red.
Football, by the hell. This is the Virtual Dream. Will you please welcome